All right, so Chris has a question about allowing only one trade signal per, time span, per, or yeah, per block of time here. So the example we have is, right, we have an hour block of time from 9 to 10 a.m. and then another one from 10 to 11 a.m. Yeah, so only one signal should be allowed per block of time. Well, all right, now let's work through this. I think it might depend on the details here. There's going to be a number of limiting factors here because we're dealing with time, and NinjaTrader is not built to function based off of time. So, and that's actually, I think that's common for all trading platforms. They don't operate based on time. They operate based on incoming data, right? So in other words, you can't use a time clock to evaluate something because the platform, ignores your time clock. The platforms only do evaluations when incoming tick data occurs. So for example, if you're trying to do a time-based evaluation during after hours where there's very low volume coming in, chances are your time-based calculations are not going to function precisely. Yeah, so let me pull up a notepad here. There. All right, right. So here we go. So we have a block of time, right? 1 hour block from 9 to 10. And then the next block starts immediately. So here's where the limitations come in, because we have basically this jump, right? Going from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m., there's no span of time in between that. So that's where the technical kind of limitation is going to come in. So because there has to be some amount of time between the end of one and the beginning of another in order to allow signals to come through, once again. So what can be built in NinjaTrader, and again, as far as I know, this applies to all trading platforms, because they don't have any mechanism to analyze what time of day it is, or more importantly, they don't have a way to trigger an event based on the time of day, right? You can check the time of day when incoming data comes in, right? But that incoming data may not come in, at exactly 10 a.m. Now, because, this is during regular trading hours, it's not going to be a problem, right? There's probably going to be all kinds of data coming in, at 10 a.m. So, but after hours, not so much. So, or this might be a bigger problem with Forex. So if you're not trading during the three major Forex markets, and you're trying to do some kind of time-based evaluation, that might be problematic as well. So now eventually, the reset that needs to happen from this 1 hour block to this 1 hour block, eventually that reset will happen. It just may not be exactly at 10 a.m., right? It might happen a few seconds later, or so. Right? So that's the technical caveat that needs to be understood when you're working with time-based evaluations. So I'm going to create myself a simple little test bed here. All right, let's create a new logic template, and I'm just going to build a very simple random entry signal here. And so let's see. Next thing, we're going to need these two blocks of time here. So let's add some time session solvers here. Actually, no. You know what? I'm going to change my mind here. Instead of using the time solver, I'm going to use an indicator to do this. Yeah, I'm not even sure it could be done with the time session solver. Yeah, I think in order to do this properly, or at least the best way possible, yeah, we do need an indicator. And so, but I do need the threshold solver to read this indicator. Let's connect that in. And so the indicator that we're going to use is inside the Shark Indicators folder, inside of Tools, and it is the time block indicator. So as the name tries to imply, this indicator helps you identify blocks of time. And that's exactly what we're working with, right? 2 1-hour blocks of time here. So let's plug in those blocks of time. Like so. Right. Now keep in mind, this time is your computer's local time. All right, let's see here. So we can, enable, the days of the week, where this time block will identify this block of time here. And we're probably not trading on Sundays, so let's turn Sunday. Well, actually, data doesn't exist in the morning for Sunday, so we'll just turn that off just for good measure. And then all the outputs here, right? There's a lot of different outputs. So we could identify the start bar, right? Which would be whatever bar, closes on this 9 a.m. time, or we could identify the end bar, right? So, and that would be this 10 a.m. We actually want to identify the ending bar there, right? And we can identify, other things as well here. There's other things to identify. So, a while back, the time block indicator had the trading holidays added to it. So, right, this NinjaTrader 8 now includes trading holidays within its database. So this is just looking at the NinjaTrader database for trading holidays. So keep in mind that NinjaTrader's database does not go back very far. So if you're doing a bunch of historical backtesting, keep in mind that this trading holidays, NinjaTrader only provides data going back so far. So so if you want to go back 10 years, you'll have to edit your trading hours database to include all those trading hours going back 10 years. Sorry. So let's see here. But in any case, so we want to identify the ending bar, right, which would be the 10 a.m. bar here. So here, let's call it good. And let's just name this. All right, so let's see what it actually identifies, right? So we can see it, right now it's 11 on my computer. Let's go find that 10 a.m. bar. There. And so what is that actual time? So yeah, that bar actually closed at, there you go, 10 a.m. in a few milliseconds, and almost half a second. So so again, like I said, this shouldn't be a problem during RTH, but after hours, you could wait quite some time before a bar actually closes, you know, and gets identified. So, all right. So there's one solver, you know, that identifies the 10 a.m. So we need another one that identifies the 11 a.m. bar. So let's make a copy of that and paste that in there. Connect that up. And this will be the 11 a.m. bar. Right. So now we just need to go into the time block indicator and adjust our end time there. So actually, you know, as we can see, we're not really worried about the start time, but you know, what the heck, just for good measure, you know, we'll just match them up, you know, with the blocks of time, you know, just in case, because who knows, you might want to adjust things, and for some reason you make changes, and you decide, okay, I need to identify the start bar, or I need to identify when we're between these times, right? Something like that. So there you go. So just kind of keeping the start time and end time in line with what you want to do might make it easier to do, you know, something further down the road. So all right, let's see. Make sure, yeah, that looks good. And all right, let's go forward. There we go. All right, so there you go. So that's the 11 a.m. and 1 second bar. So, all right. So what these are is these are reset signals. Let's see, man. All right, wait. Oh, yeah, these are reset signals here. Sorry, I'm looking for the 10 a.m. one, but we need an OR node first. There we go. So if we put both of these into an OR node, we can now see both of the reset signals. All right, I'll shrink this up a little bit more. There we go. Right, so there's the 10 a.m. and there's the 11 a.m. Let me actually kind of clean up my chart there. So again, yeah, again, these are reset signals here. So there, let's just call them resets. So now, you know, Chris assumed correctly that you know, if he wants to only see one trade, right, one trade, you know, within each of these blocks of time here, that you should be using the signal blocker. But you know, so that's the easy part, right? The more challenging part is to figure out, well, how do you reset the signal blocker, right? So let's add in a signal blocker like so. And so here's the next kind of challenging part is, okay, so you have a 1 hour block of time. So what is the maximum number of bars that might occur within that 1 hour block of time? You know, I'm on a range chart here, so it might take something like 500 bars. I'm not sure. And let's see, also, let me put the actively blocking on. And for now, I'm going to turn off all the resets there. So let's see, and one other thing, we also want to block opposite signals, I'm assuming here. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so look at here. There, I think that's the correct one. There. So I think that is the 10 a.m. bar. Got that marked. So if we look at this, well, all right. Yeah, I'm actually going to have to shoot. I was hoping to figure out this 500 bars here without connecting in the resets, but actually I will have to connect in the resets and basically complete the logic here. So, I'll have to complete the system here. So let's see here. So we're using the reset connection to reset the signal blocker. So in the resets here, we are using reset, right? Opposite and reset signal. Actually, no, never mind. I thought I had seen a way to use the time session solver to do this, but no, that was actually incorrect. So never mind. All right, so let's take a look at the chart. All right, so let me put a marker here. There we go. So, all right, yeah, I guess we'll look at the 11 a.m. there. So, yeah, so there we go. There's our first signals coming in. And, remember, so I'm going to block the opposite signal so only the first one gets through, right? So this means that since a long signal came in, this long signal is also blocking the short signals, right? So if you look at, remember the actively blocking output here that we have, so you can see that when this long signal comes in, the short signals are also actively being blocked, right? If I turn this off, right there, so we can see a long signal comes in, and then a short signal is allowed to come in, right? And then once that short signal comes in, then it starts blocking the short signals, right? So there's lots of ways that you can kind of design what you want there. So, but let's just make this more conservative here and allow only one signal coming in both directions. Right, so let's squeeze this up. Yeah, so again, the point I'm trying to get to here, circling back around, is was 500 bars enough bars to be blocking to get from 9 to 10 a.m. and from 10 to 11 a.m. right? So of course this is going to depend on your chart period, right? It's going to depend, so if you're running on a really fast moving chart, then obviously you're going to have more bars printing between those blocks of time. So yeah, trying to figure that out there. Just take some trial and error there. Yeah, actually there's an alternate way of doing this. So this here, so what we built will work, and this is it. This is the end result here. So your signals come into a signal blocker, right? Much like the previous question here, right? Where we had a signal blocker, and if we wanted more signals, it's just a matter of controlling the resets, resetting this as often as necessary to allow all the signals through. So same thing here. It's just a matter of generating the reset signals to reset our signal blocker as often as necessary, right? So you can imagine that if you want to reset the signal blocker every hour, then all you need are just more of these threshold solvers set up, set one up for 9 a.m., one for noon, 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., so on and so forth, right, for every hour throughout the trading day. and you just put them into an OR node. That way, all of your reset, right? This OR node allows all the reset signals to get through, right? An OR node combines all the signals together and everything gets through. So that way you have one output, right? Obviously you can't connect, you can't connect multiple solvers to a single connection point. So that's what OR nodes are basically for. There is for combining multiple conditions together, and they all feed out and through the output there. So now there is an alternate way of doing this, although doesn't actually matter. So for all of you longtime BloodHound users, like Bob, for example, welcome, Bob. If you've been a BloodHound user for a long time, and you've seen, you've seen a bunch of the older videos that use the signal blocker, the one thing that was pointed out is to minimize the number of bars to block for, because it used to be CPU intensive. So at some point, Jeremy had actually reworked the signal blocker so that you no longer have to worry about minimizing the number of bars here to block. So that was an old, that old design has been replaced with a newer coding design here. So you no longer have to worry about, minimizing this number of bars here to minimize CPU usage. So that's a thing of the past now. But, just in case somebody is still on an older version of BloodHound, that is still possible here. Let's see, I'm going to build another way of doing this using a toggle node. Yeah. All right, let's pull the signals in here. All right, so you've noticed that I didn't actually, oops, yeah, shoot, I was gonna, unfortunately, if you use these, use this add text, drawing box here, you can't actually do a drag inside this box here, because as you can see, it selects the box. So, but you'll notice that I didn't do a copy and paste of this to paste this down, because I don't want to duplicate the number of solvers here. I actually want to use the same nodes over, and I don't need a copy. So I actually just going to rebuild this reset here from scratch. There. All right, so let's build this same kind of signal blocker mechanism here, but using the toggle node. And all right, this is actually just going to get in the way. Let's move that out of the way. There. So we're going to need a couple of mechanisms here, or a couple of nodes to make this work. So I'm going to set this up and then explain it here afterwards. Okay, so there we go. So this is finished here. So, all right, so this is using a toggle node instead of a signal blocker here. And there are there's one situation where the toggle node it won't work as accurately as the signal blocker here, and we'll get into that in a minute. So the way this toggle node works here is, first of all, this toggle node, I start with the state on. So this toggle node actually has an output that is always on. And let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Let me just connect that. There we go. Right. So the toggle node starts on. Right. Its starting state always starts on. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of the chart there, when NinjaTrader actually starts plotting. So yeah, you gotta keep in mind that NinjaTrader actually, for most indicators, doesn't start plotting. There we go. Doesn't start plotting until you get to the 20th bar by default there. But the point is that the toggle node starts with an on state, right, which is opposite of the default, right? The default here is, let's put a new one on here, right? The default is the toggle node is typically off, and then you turn the toggle node on when you want to do something here. So, but in this case, we actually want to allow the first signal through. So because we want to allow the first signal through, the toggle node needs to be on, so that first signal can get through, right? So in other words, when the toggle node is on, right, the signal can get through the AND node, right? So this AND node combined with the toggle node is what would allow the signals to get through. And yeah, so there we have it, right? So at the very beginning of the chart, right, the first signal gets through, and then no more signals until we get to 10 a.m. There we go. So yeah, there. So the toggle node gets turned on, right? Let's see, what bar is this? Yeah. So the toggle node gets turned on the 10 a.m. bar. Okay. So yeah, keep in mind we're looking at the toggle node. So the toggle node gets turned on, and then a signal can actually get through. And of course, let's see, yeah, we have an up signal there. Let's actually look at this. Let me shrink this up a little bit. There. There we go. So the toggle node is on for this. There, and when we connect the signal up, there we go, yeah. So we can see the long signal comes through when that toggle node is on. And so this toggle node is set up in reverse fashion in that when a signal comes into the input, we're actually turning the toggle node off, right? These are both set to off and off, right? And the reset is set to on and on. And this is in reverse fashion of how the toggle node is typically used probably 98% of the time or something like that, right? So, yeah, so that basically, that is how this toggle node works, is the reset signals are turning the toggle node on, right? Because the reset here is turning the toggle node on, right? So when these signals come in, then that turns the toggle node on. Oh, hold on. I actually didn't. Good thing I did this, because I didn't actually finish setting up these threshold solvers correctly. So, yeah, if you notice, right, we only have a long output coming from these threshold solvers here. And I guess, yeah, I didn't notice that because of all the different reset options that are available within the signal blocker. But the proper way that I should have set up these threshold solvers is I should have set the threshold rules to equals 1 for both the long and the short. If I hit apply there, right, so I should be generating a long and a short output for this situation, right? Yeah, so because we're dealing with blocks of time, we have no idea whether the next trade signal is going to be a short or a long trade. So our reset needs to reset to allow for both long and short trade signals to come through. So both of these, let me click OK. So if we look at this one here, yeah, so this threshold solver also, I should have had the condition set to equals 1, right? And the reason why we're looking for 1 is because a true statement in computers is 1. 0 means false, right? And 1 means true. And if we look at the time block indicator, so taking a step back, right, all of these outputs are bool series, meaning true or false, right? This indicator does not output a number, because time, right, there's no number for time. So all of these outputs are true or false, all of these conditions. So either it is a holiday or it is not a holiday, right? There's no number associated with the holiday. It's just, yeah, today is a holiday, true, or it's not, false. So, all right, so all these outputs are bool, are true or false, which means 0 or 1. So there we go. So these resets should have been outputting a long and a short there. And because these solvers up here are the same as these solvers down here, when I fixed one, it also fixed the others, because they're one and the same. They're both these two solvers here. So let's see here. All right. Anyways, so after that little correction here, so to finish explaining the toggle node, right, the toggle node is on, which allows signals to come through. And you'll notice, right, the signals go into this look back, and this look back is using a displacement of 1. So that just adds a 1 bar delay. So let's see here. Yeah, so let's look at this, right? So we have a long signal there, and a short signal there. And so if we look at the look back node here, right? Look, the signals were shifted forward 1 bar, right? A 1 bar delay was added, right? So now the long is here, whereas the original long signal, right, was 1 bar before. And so this delay right? We want to delay the signals going into the toggle node because we don't want to turn the toggle node off on the bar that has the signal. We want to turn the toggle node off after that bar, right? So that's why we have a 1 bar delay. So, right. So there's our signal, right? So without this look back node, if we just connect straight into there, let's see. So it is actually still working. Hold on. That's not supposed to be the case. Let me just reload the chart. It is still working. Well, I can only guess that Jeremy might have made a subtle change to the toggle node. Let's see. Let me just do a little test here. All right. Well, I'll have to get back to Jeremy on this, but yeah, apparently it looks like a small adjustment was made to the toggle node so that these look back nodes are no longer needed. Right. So I'm going to keep it in there just in case, because I don't know exactly what's happening. I'm going to keep it in there because it is still working, right? It's still working correctly, and it does appear to work without it, but I'm going to keep it in there just in case for now until I know exactly what's going on with the toggle node. So, right. So normally the toggle node, when a signal comes in, normally the toggle node gets turned off, right, on the same bar that the signal comes in. Right. So normally this, when you're turning the toggle node off or on, it happens on the same bar. So usually, if you want, so in this particular case, because we're using the toggle node in a reverse manner, that's why we need this 1 bar delay, right, to the input. Right. Normally, this 1 bar delay is used for the reset, because usually you want to reset the toggle node 1 bar after a condition, right? But yeah, interesting enough that because we're using the toggle node in a reverse kind of manner, we're using this 1 bar delay going into the input instead of using this going into the reset. So if you watch any older workshop videos here that use a toggle node and it's using the reset, quite often you'll notice that the reset signals are delayed by 1 bar going into the, so this guy is usually going into the reset, but in this, I guess another way you could say this is that because we're using the toggle node in a reverse fashion, the input is actually doing the resetting because it's turning the toggle node off. And the reset is actually doing the inputting, right? Because it's turning the toggle node on. So, another way of looking at that. So, let's see. That's it. So I covered all the parts here. So just a quick summary. The toggle node is on when it starts. So that allows the signals to get through the AND node because the toggle node is on. And then the signals come into the look back, and so 1 bar after the signal gets through, 1 bar later, the toggle node gets turned off, right? It gets turned off here. And then when the toggle node is off, no more signals can get through. And so these reset signals are, right, they're going into the reset, and the resets are turning the toggle node back on. Right, so that's how this is working. So, And let's see here. Yeah, so I said that there is kind of a specific limitation of using the toggle node versus the signal blocker, and that actually may not be the case anymore, because this 1 bar delay is no longer needed. That limitation may have been removed, but so normally what could happen, and what has been kind of problematic for specific systems in the past, is that like when you're resetting the toggle node, sometimes the toggle node needs to get reset on a bar that actually generates a trace signal that is wanted to get through, but because normally you have to apply a 1 bar delay to reset the toggle node. Sometimes if the signal happens on the very first bar that you're resetting the toggle node, that signal doesn't actually get through, so it gets missed. It gets skipped because the toggle node hasn't been reset yet. You have to wait 1 bar. Whereas with the signal blocker, that is not the case. The signal blocker gets reset on the same bar. So I think actually the adjustment to the toggle node, talking out loud here, it looks like the toggle node, as far as resetting the toggle node, is closer in function to how the signal blocker operates. So you might see some old videos where the toggle node is being used, right, again, to either allow signals or sometimes block signals, but sometimes there's this problem where the toggle node, because of that 1 bar delay, a signal doesn't actually get through. The first signal doesn't get through on the first bar. So that was Chris's question about allowing only 1 signal through, per period of time or block of time. Like so. So let me see if there's any follow-ups on this before we move on. Let's see. All right. So Chris is just noting that he has 2 separate signals built. All right. Yeah. So one trading system signal, right, is designed for the first hour of time, and I mentioned the other one is probably designed to fire off in the second block of time. So it doesn't matter. What's important here is obviously not the signals. That's not what's important. The question is about resetting the signal blocker, right? So this logic here is what's important. So if you've got 2 separate signal sources, then all you would do is add an OR node, right? There you go. You got signal 1 coming in, and then we could have signal 2 coming in. There you go. So those could be 2 totally different trading signals, different system rules, system designs, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can have as many different trade signals going into an OR node, and then the signal blocker will. But again, if trading signal number 1 is what only allowed to fire off during a block of time, let me rephrase this a different way. So both of these signals are allowed to fire off. Come on. Yeah, both of these signals are allowed to fire off between these 2 blocks of time. So if you want one of the systems to only fire off during 1 block of time, then you would combine it with, you would add a time session solver into that system so that the signals can only fire off, inside of that time session. And then you would just put a signal blocker behind it. So a signal blocker with the time session, connected to your signals. That's how you would do that. And then signal, system number 2, if it's only allowed to trade, during a different time span, then again, you would create a time session solver for system number 2, and when it's allowed to fire a signal, and then put a signal blocker behind it. So you would have signal blockers for each system. So this design here is to allow, all different systems to, whichever one of these systems fires off first, gets to go through, and then the other systems are blocked by the signal blocker. So how you phrase the question is critical. So, there is no generic way to do everything. Computers are as literal as it comes. So when you're designing, a trading system in the computer, you have to be very explicit, on how the system is designed, and thus you have to be very exact in how you kind of state your question as well. All right, so let's see. All right, so that was first comment I found. So let's keep moving on. All right, so he hasn't plugged into an OR node. Yep, okay, so that works. He has 2 systems plugged into an OR node, and maybe you have each system, filtered using a time solver, so it can only fire off its signals during that block of time. That all works with this too. Again, it's kind of like Excel. There's a lot of different ways you can build your logic, and the outcome is the same. So let's see. All right, so reading the follow-ups here. So it does sound like Chris has 2 systems, system 1 or system A, system B, and they're, so one system A is allowed to fire off between, this block of time. System B is allowed to fire off, during the second, period of time. So, so this, so I would actually redesign this here. This is better suited for something like this. So this is better suited for basically whether one signal, trading system or a bunch of trading systems, and you only want one signal, like every hour or something like that. That's what this is better suited for. So if you have, if system A is only allowed to fire off during the first period of time, system B can fire off during the second block of time, then there is a different way to structure this so that it makes more sense as to what's going on. So that way, when you look at it visually, yeah, it makes more sense. So let's, let's kind of redesign this here. So, but first, let me name this here. All right. So that's that one. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll make a copy. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna wipe that out because that doesn't apply. And let's see. Yeah, those don't apply. All right. There. All right. So we have two separate systems here. Two separate signals. And yeah, so what Chris really wants is he does actually want to use a time session solver here. And yeah. All right, so let me set this up quickly. All right, so I'm just going to start with the RTH. And here, let me adjust the resolution to every 30 minutes. There. All right, there we go. So we have 9:30 to 10:30. Right, close. Well, all right. There, we'll knock this down. No, actually, I'm going to leave it like this. Let's say the first hour of trading. There we go. Yeah. I'll adjust the times here a little bit. There. All right, so 9. All right, so there is one solver. There. So now I need to make a copy of this. And let's paste it down here for system B. There we go. And so this will be from 10:30 to 11:30. And let's go in and adjust these blocks of time. All right, there we go. There. And so now we need some AND nodes. And another AND node. There. All right. So essentially, right, we have, disconnect that. There. So we have the first system only allowed to generate signals during this 1 hour block of time, or whatever you want it to be. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so there it is for my time zone. Yeah, actually, let's see, let me skip forward today. There we go. Man, okay, there we go. And so same here, right? System B is now allowed to generate signals, 1 hour afterwards. All right. So now each system is only allowed to generate one signal per day. So use the time block, and let's see, we're probably just actually, yeah, no, 500 should still be enough. Again, figuring out the the number of bars to block for, again, depends on your time zone. So I'm just going to leave it at 500. That should be fine, like so. But what we do need is a new reset mechanism, right? Because, what if 500 bars blocks signals until you go into tomorrow, right? Because what if you're trading on maybe a 15-minute bar, or I think even a 5-minute bar. 500 bars might take you into the next day, right? So, so you would need a reset to reset the signal blocker, and we can do that at midnight here. So I'm going to. Now I'll just set it up from scratch. All right, I was going to copy one of these nodes that I created earlier, right? That's using the time block indicator, but I'll just start this from scratch here. So let's just build a new threshold solver, and there you go. So we're going to reset at midnight. Or, maybe let's see. We'll reset at morning time, just in case somebody's across the big pond, and and where the U.S. markets might actually go through midnight. So you wouldn't want to reset at midnight if you're if the U.S. markets are trading through your midnight, like I think India or Australia, that might be the case here. So we'll do a reset at the morning time, the market morning. So all right, so we're gonna load in the time block indicator again. There you go. There's our time block. And right, so let's just let's see here. Yeah, so we want let's probably do something like this. I'll go 1 second before the market open here. Right now, again, this is your computer's local time. So depending on your time zone, you'll have to adjust this to when the market opens. All right. And then, we want the start bar. So this time we're gonna reset, the signal blocker, on the start bar there. So, and wow. Okay. Since I'm on a range bar, I can see it, right? So there we go. So a signal comes in. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish setting up the threshold solver again. So let's go back. Remember, we're using a true or false output from the time block indicator. So we're looking for a true value coming out of the time block indicator. So that's equivalent to 1. So there we go. Let's adjust that. There we go. So now, so now we get a long and a short output. There you go. Set that up correctly. And then, so what we're seeing is all right, that's set up correctly. And there we go. All right, so we're seeing signals come through, and that's because because I'm on an 8 range on the NQ, there's 500 bars between each of these signals here, so on a range chart, especially on the NQ, 500 bars is clearly not enough. Maybe something like 5,000 bars. So, yeah. This actually, yeah, you know what? Well, yeah. Since the signal blocker, no longer, it has been redesigned, we don't really have to worry about the number of bars that we put in there. There, yeah. All right. And so remember what we're seeing here, these aren't signals. Remember, it's 0.2. So this is what we're seeing here is we're seeing the active blocking here set to 0.2. So if we scroll, there we go. So the blocking gets turned off, and oh, yeah, sorry guys. My time session solver here is set to Eastern, but then I set my reset to my local time. Yeah, so these are on 2 different time zones here. So yeah, a little tip here to remember that this this scheduling window here, it has a time zone built into it here. So, and since I started with the U.S. equities RTH, it started with the time zone set to Eastern time here. So I need to go into the time block, which is not as sophisticated, and adjust this to my local time. So I need to go from Eastern to my time zone. There we go. So let's put this at 7 a.m. Now, let's see here. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm looking at the time session solver. No wonder. There we go. Yeah, it looks like even 5,000 is not enough for this 8 range chart. Actually, let me just double check something here. Yeah, okay. So the reset looks correct. Let's see. There we go. All right. Yeah, so I just had to go in and I killed all the resets there. And let's see. There. I'm going to mark roughly where our morning reset is there. And let's see. Yeah, that matches up. All right. There. All right, so let me go in and wrong one. There. Let me go in and set up the correct reset for this. Let's see. We are using reset signal. Yes. There. All right, there we go. Now that we got all the bits and pieces yeah, set up correctly. So remember, I had to I'm using, an indicator that doesn't have a time zone built into it. So I had to synchronize that correctly with the time session solver that does have a time zone built into it. So once I got that, then I had to go into the signal blocker, and I basically I went into the signal blocker and I cleared out all the resets here. So you can use the select all to toggle on and off. So I turned them all off there, and then went in and selected the correct reset there. Okay, and there we have it. There is our first signal. So, and so let's kind of make a mental note here. So remember, in the time block, I set this to like a second before the market open, and I guess that works okay for these range bars here. It did actually work okay, because you see this one bar here where there's no active blocking output, right? That's because this bar basically closed at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So we actually had a reset literally before the market opened, 1 second before. It's just coincidence that that range bar closed on that time. So probably, just to add a little more padding there, let's reset this maybe 5 minutes before the market opens. There. And of course, this time that you pick depends on the chart period, right? So, if you're on a 5-minute chart or a 10-minute chart, then you might need to, set this up 10 minutes before the market opens, right? So, but this 5 minutes for these fast-moving range bars should be fine, right? And there you go. So the signal blocker has been reset, right? So there's no more output down here, meaning that the first signal that comes in gets through. But of course, remember our signals, the way Chris has things set up is his signals are being filtered using the time session, right? So, if we look at the signals, right, there you go. The signals only show up, right, during the time session solver here. So because there is a time session filtering the signals, we can reset the, let's see. And where is it? Oh, wait, do we have signals? No, let's see. Oh, yeah. There we go. Make sure I got that connected up right there. And let's see. I'm not seeing the active blocking. There we go. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so now that I got the active blocking back on, there we go. So here's what I was trying to show again, is there it goes. Yeah, so the active blocking output, we can see it turns off 5 minutes before the market opens there. Yeah. So, and again, it's okay to turn the signal blocker, to reset the signal blocker a little early because the signals are being filtered using a time session solver there. All right, so now we just need to repeat the same logic for system B here. So I can copy this signal blocker and paste it down there, connect that in, and then I can take this same reset node here and connect it into the reset. And so because we copied the signal blocker, right, we can see, there you go, blocking signals for us still on 5,000 bars. The active blocking is the same, right? And the reset is still on reset signals there, so we're all good to go. So there, let's connect that in. Yeah, no, that's right. We can, because each system is being filtered with the time session solvers here. Yeah, we can just reset the signal blocker in the morning. So even though system B, right, it doesn't, the soonest that it can generate a signal is at 10:30, right, an hour after the first system here. So again, the signal blocker gets turned off early before the market opens, but of course no signals are getting through the AND node because of the time session solver filtering there. There we go. All right. Yeah, so 10:30 Eastern time, right, translates to 8:30 my time. So there we go. Our signal comes through for system B, and then the signal blocker is blocking, and it's going to be blocking until the next day. I'll shrink this way up there, and there we go. So there is, right, 7 in the morning the next day, just before the market opens, for me at least. And there we go. And then our signal comes through for system B. There. All right. So there you go. There's 2 different ways of limiting your signals, to only once per block of time, or once per day when your signals are already being filtered to a specific block of time, during that day. So right, so there's a couple of ways to skin that cat. All right, now I think we're done with Chris's question.